All right, I'll be honest. I like Higuruma. Higuruma. I think it's how you pronounce it. I like his backstory, but I don't understand how he got 100 points. Like, I understand how, like, literally you got to kill people. I get how you get 100 points, but I don't understand. I guess what I want to ask is, did he really go on a killing spree because he lost a court case? He's a district attorney. I'm sure he's lost cases before. I mean, but this is a murder case, so maybe it's a lot bigger, and it deals differently in Japan or something. Like, if you lose a case like that, maybe you're like shunned for or whatever. I think if you won that case, they would probably shun you a lot more if you lost it. So anyway. So, like, summing it up, a guy who fought for convicts now has become one because he lost a case that was never in his favor to begin with. That's like me going against LeBron James in basketball and obviously losing. Like, there was no chance of me winning against LeBron James, right? And then I just genuinely get mad about it. Like, even better yet, I go on a killing spree because I lost to LeBron James. Like, why were you I shouldn't have expected to win that, but he's different. And Higuruma as a character and the whole backstory kind of reminds me of Yagami, not like Yagami from Death Note, but from the Judgment game from the Yakuza series. There's a game called Judgment, and you play this character called Yagami. And before the game officially starts, you get this scene, you get this beginning scene where he's also a district attorney, a defense attorney that's defending this guy who was tried for murder. But in Yagami's case, he didn't have a curse technique to force the whole court into a retrial. But let me start from the beginning. So, like I said, he's a defensive attorney that was defending this guy named N.S.O.A that was prosecuted for the suspicion of murdering this woman and her daughter in their own home. Fun fact before I begin, in the beginning of the chapter, as we've seen, if you're watching this video, you've read this, it said that Japan's conviction rate is 99.9%, basically 100%. And I looked that up, and it's actually true. If you Google it, it's real. Which I guess in other places are like kind of similar, like they're high, but 99.9. That's you basically lost no matter what. As a defensive attorney, you basically lost. Your job is to lose. But if you ask me, I believe that O.A is innocent. The only evidence they had against him was the fact that he ran away from the police when he was being questioned at the time, which is obviously a bad move. Like, especially if the police ask you questions and they're working on a case, they're gonna assume you did or have something to do with it if you're running away from them, one. And two, the second piece of evidence was that, the murder weapon was found at his home. But at this point, when I read that in the story, I'm like, okay, this nigga clearly did it. But as you read the chapter, we find out more variables about the case, like how O.A claimed that he found the knife, like it wasn't in his home originally, but he found the knife and he was gonna return it, but where he works / lives at, they don't want people calling the police, especially people that work or live there. They don't want to inconvenience the neighbors. And by the way, where he works / lives at is this non-profit organization that takes care of old farts basically. So and fun fact also with that, most of the people there have criminal records. So it kind of makes sense that people don't want others calling the police, as opposed to not wanting to inconvenience the neighbors. So, but the main two pieces of evidence that I seen that made me believe that O.A was innocent was, one, he was at they had it taped. He was like recorded at the convenience store, at a fucking convenience store, that he was there at the time that the murder went down, or like around that time. So that's the one piece of evidence. He wasn't even there. And two, it just so happens that after the murder, someone from the nonprofit organization went missing. So in the court's defense, they found him initially, at first, in the first court appearance, they found him not guilty. But they got that shit appealed, and then he was found guilty in the secondary trial, like on some bullshit. And all the prosecutor had to do was make a stupid claim that they didn't have a reason, or they didn't need a reason to suspect the person that left the nonprofit organization after the crime. That added on to the amount of money that a prosecutor versus a defense attorney can pour into a case. They have way more funds that they can pour into the case to bribe or to do anything, or to pour into finding evidence on the case. But they didn't even need the money. All he had to do was just make a stupid claim about that. And not guilty. So I guess this is where this is what I mean when they say that it's 99% conviction rate in Japan. This is why. with ultimately Higuruma losing the case and him throwing a fit, and then him summoning some Shikigami. It looks like a Shikigami or whatever it is. It kind of reminds me of Pito's Dr. Blythe from Hunter x Hunter. But instead of arms, it has these balance things that kind of like they resemble like balance, or in this case like fairness in the court, which with that symbolism kind of it makes sense with the kind of guy that he is. He's a defensive attorney. He wants fairness, like how the prosecutors don't want. He wants fairness for everyone, which is why he plays the role that he does. So it makes sense that he has a Shikigami in the symbolism that it has. But why does he have to have 100 points? How did it get to that level? Like, that's why I'm really just shook that him losing a case made him do all that. So there has to be something in between that they didn't show us, obviously, because this is just a backstory. But yeah, and I also get in the rules of the game, of the calling game, that if you have just a certain amount of points for a certain amount of time, then you die. Like they take your curse technique or whatever you were given away, and you just die. So I get that you need to keep moving, but he has there's only 2 people with 100 points. It's him and that other guy, I forgot his name, Hajime. The only reason I remember it just now is because I remember Hajime no Ippo. It's just in my head to try to remember his name. But yeah, I'm not good with names, but I remember that. So it's just him and Hajime that have over 100 points. So he's been going in right now. He's literally a murderer. He turned into what he protected. So I assume that Itadori is So I assume that Higuruma is the first person that Itadori and his group, or whoever Itadori is going with, is going to be their first target. And we know that Higuruma, well, we don't know, but we never seen him fight. So he isn't going to throw hands with Itadori. He's not going to win. Not many people can do that. So he probably has there's going to be a situation where they're going to have to like figure out his curse technique, because ain't no way he's just killing 100 people easily without any fighting prowess. He's a defensive attorney. He's not no martial artist. He's not a fighter. So just expect bullshit to come. It'd be messed up if Higuruma has some type of ability where he can just give you the automatic death penalty. Like I mean, it has to be some rules to it to make it make sense so that he can just kill you easily. Like he'll ask you a question like, are you guilty of like killing an ant? And if you are guilty, he can give you the death penalty or something and you die automatically, or something like that. Like that would be stupid. But Itadori is a good person, but he has killed people for the sake of Jujutsu High and stuff, just the Jujutsu world, and just killing curses and how the curses manipulated people so that he ultimately had to kill people. So I hope that doesn't come into play, because if he does, then Itadori is gonna be fucked. But there has to be some type of loophole in his ability so that it isn't too OP. They aren't gonna give that kind of ability to just a simple person. There has to be a way around it, but just the journey of finding it out and how it works is going to be the tricky part. It's going to be the bullshit part of the whole thing going on. I really want to know, the bits and pieces of how he got to just getting 100 points. Honestly, he's probably going to be saying some stuff like, you have no clue about how many people I've killed to do such and such. I don't even know if the culling game explained the rules to the players. I think all the players have the Kogane, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's aware that he can make a rule, or how to utilize the system in general, like how Itadori is about to do. Like they literally plan to just beat the 2 people with 100 points in order to make rules. So good luck with that. I don't know how it's gonna go down. I just know that it's gonna be a lot of BS on the way. So, but it should be interesting. It depends on who Itadori is with and who he brought with him. I don't think that was discussed in the last chapter. So we're gonna have to see. That's pretty much the chapter. I'm not gonna rate it, but I will say it is the backstory was a good backstory. I just don't see how that he went from being a defensive attorney to just killing a lot of people because he lost a case. I don't think that's just it. But if it is just it, that's just weird. That isn't good writing in my opinion. But I digress. I'll see you guys next chapter. Yeah. Peace.